Welcome, friends. Tonight, you're going to witness something extraordinary. Picture this. Farmers who've never seen the ocean suddenly building warships. A republic with no naval tradition whatsoever, facing the greatest maritime power the world has ever known. 23 years of impossible victories, catastrophic defeats, entire fleets swallowed by storms. And through it all, one civilization that simply refuses to quit. This is the First Punic War. Rome versus Carthage. Land versus sea. Iron discipline versus golden ambition. And by the time the Mediterranean finally stops running red, the world will never be the same. Before we begin, I'm curious. Are you tucked in a bed right now, letting history be the last voice you hear tonight? Or maybe you're unwinding after a long day. Drop a comment and let me know. And if this story moves you, a like means the world. Now, close your eyes. Breathe with me. Deep breath in and out. Let the modern world fade. Let me take you back 23 centuries to a time when the Mediterranean was the entire world and two cities wanted to rule it all. You're standing on a hill overlooking Rome, and it's a warm evening in 264 BCE. The sun sets over those famous 7 hills, painting everything gold and amber. The air smells like with smoke and baking bread. You can hear children being called inside, market vendors closing up, the distant clang of a blacksmith finishing his work. This isn't the Rome you've seen in movies. There's no Colosseum yet, no marble temples gleaming white. This is early Rome, rough, practical, built from stone and timber. But there's something here you can feel even from this hilltop. Purpose, an energy that whispers of destiny. Walk with me down into the city. You pass a farmer named Marcus, heading home from his plot outside the walls. His hands are calloused, dirt under his fingernails, but he walks with his head high. He's a citizen of Rome, which means everything. He owns his land. He votes in the assembly. And when Rome calls, he'll strap on armor and march with his neighbors. This is who Rome is. Farmers who become soldiers. Citizens who own something worth fighting for. Did you hear? Marcus says, pausing. The Senate's debating something tonight. Some request from Sicily. Sicily, that island just across the strait. It's never mattered much to Rome before. Greek cities, Carthaginian trading posts, local conflicts that don't concern you. But something's changing. You can feel it. You continue deeper into the city, past apartment buildings where laundry hangs between windows, where an old woman spins wool by lamplight. My grandson's in the legions, she mentions. Says there's talk of trouble south. Something about Messina. There's that name again. Like a stone dropped in still water, ripples spreading outward. Let me take you across that narrow strait now. Close your eyes and feel yourself moving. The air getting warmer, saltier, richer. You're in North Africa, standing in the greatest city most Romans have never seen. Carthage. You need to understand what Carthage is to understand what's coming. If Rome is discipline and iron. Carthage is wealth and gold and breathtaking beauty. You're standing at the entrance to the harbors. Yes, harbors, plural. The commercial harbor spreads before you, rectangular and vast, filled with merchant ships from every corner of the known world. You hear a dozen languages: Punic, Greek, Egyptian, Iberian, Numidian. Goods are being unloaded that you've never seen. Purple dye that looks like liquid royalty, ivory from Africa, Spanish silver that gleams, grain from Sicily piled high enough to feed cities for months. The wealth here is tangible. You smell exotic spices, see silk from distant lands. Merchants haggle over contracts worth more gold than most Roman farmers will see in 10 lifetimes. Beside it, hidden from view, is the military harbor. Perfectly circular. Secret. 220 warships can dock here in covered slips. You glimpse it as a gate opens, just a flash, and what you see makes your stomach clench. Ships. So many ships. Sleek triremes with bronze rams. Massive quinquiremes. And sailors. Gods. The sailors. Men born on the water, whose fathers and grandfathers commanded these routes. Who navigate by stars and instincts bred into their bones over centuries. A Carthaginian merchant named Hanno walks past on the harbor wall. His robes are fine linen, dyed expensive purple. Gold rings glint on his fingers. He's watching one of his ships come in. Beautiful, isn't it? He says, noticing your awe. My family has sailed these waters for 5 generations. The Mediterranean is ours. It's always been ours. There's no arrogance in his voice, just simple fact. He points across the water. We have colonies in Spain, rich silver mines, trading posts along Africa bringing us gold and ivory. Sardinia, Corsica, Western Sicily, all ours. We've built this empire through trade, through understanding that the sea connects rather than divides. You watch the constant flow of wealth and power. Carthage doesn't just control the sea. They are the sea. But watch Hanno's face when a messenger arrives, breathless, with news from Sicily. Watch his expression shift from contentment to confusion to concern. Rome, he says, reading the message. Rome has crossed to Messina? The Romans? He laughs uncertainly. They're not sailors. They don't even have ships. What are they going to do? But you see him look out at the Mediterranean, at this sea his ancestors have ruled for 300 years, and something flickers in his eyes. Doubt. Worry. I traded with Romans once, he says quietly, in Ostia. They wanted grain, and I thought them simple. But when negotiations got difficult, they didn't storm away or threaten. They just waited, calculated, found another angle. They're persistent, dangerously persistent. Back in Rome, you're standing in the Senate chamber late that evening. Nothing fancy, stone walls, flickering oil lamps casting dancing shadows. Senators in simple togas are debating, and the tension is thick enough to taste. The Mamertines have asked for our protection. An older senator says cautiously, but Messina is across water. We're not a naval power. The sea is foreign to us. Another senator stands, Appius Claudius Codex, younger, hungry for glory. And if we refuse, Carthage already controls western Sicily. Syracuse threatens the east. If we do nothing, the entire island falls outside our influence. How long before they look across that strait at Italy itself? Quintus Fabius rises slowly, his voice carrying the weight of experience. We must consider what we're starting. Carthage isn't some tribe we can defeat in a season. They're wealthy beyond measure. Their navy has ruled the Mediterranean for centuries. If we commit to this, we commit to a war unlike any we've fought. You feel the room shifting. Practical concerns warring with ambition. Fear fighting opportunity. The debate stretches into the night. Oil lamps burning low, replaced, burning low again. Finally, as dawn approaches, the vote is called. The room holds its breath. One by one, senators cast their votes. The tally builds slowly, painfully close. And when the final count is announced, Rome has decided, by the slimmest of margins, to accept the Mamertines' plea. Rome will cross the sea. You walk out into the gray pre-dawn light, heart pounding. You've just witnessed Rome commit to something it doesn't understand, against an enemy it can't match, for reasons that seem almost abstract. But that's Rome. That's always been Rome. Charging forward into uncertainty with nothing but determination and the belief that somehow they'll figure it out. Months pass. You've volunteered or been conscripted. The line blurs. And you're in Sicily with the first Roman forces. You're learning quickly that Carthage isn't impressed. Rome sent ground troops to an island conflict that will be decided by naval power. It's like bringing a sword to an archery contest. You watch Carthaginian ships patrol the coast, sleek and confident. They control the supply lines. They strike from the sea and disappear before you can retaliate. They resupply their cities while Roman positions slowly starve. They're not even trying hard because they don't need to. Your legion wins battles on the ground. The Roman formation is devastating in open combat. But then the enemy retreats to coastal cities, resupplied by sea, and waits. You can't follow because you have no ships. It's humiliating. You're winning every battle, but losing the war. One night, you're standing guard on a beach. It's late summer, the Mediterranean calm, reflecting stars like scattered diamonds. You're thinking about home, your family's farm, the olive trees, the girl you were courting before you marched away. Then the weather changes. You feel it before you see it. A shift in the wind, pressure in the air. Dark clouds roll in from the west, moving with unnatural speed. Within minutes, the gentle evening becomes something else. The wind screams, Lightning tears the sky open. Rain falls so hard it bruises exposed skin. You run for cover, but keep watching the sea, fascinated and terrified. Mediterranean storms are legendary, sudden, violent, capable of destroying entire fleets in hours. Through the sheets of rain, you see a massive shape in the water. A Carthaginian quinquereme, one of their largest warships, caught in the storm's fury. You watch, helpless, as this impossible vessel is driven toward the rocks near your position. The sound when it hits is awful, grinding, splintering, tearing. The ship tilts violently. Crew members leap into the churning water. Some make it to shore and are captured. Others disappear beneath the waves. When morning comes, when the storm finally exhausts itself, that ship is there. Tilted, damaged, but mostly intact, beached right in front of Roman lines, like a gift from Neptune himself. Your centurion stares at it for a long moment. The gods have handed us a gift. Or a test, someone mutters. Within hours, engineers are examining the ship. Within days, orders come from Rome. Preserve it, study it, learn from it. What happens next will change everything. Come with me to a shipyard at Ostia, at the mouth of the Tiber River. It's weeks after the storm, and you've been reassigned here as part of a massive project that seems impossible. You're watching something that shouldn't be possible unfold before your eyes. Roman engineers have completely dismantled that captured Carthaginian vessel. It sits in pieces, organized with Roman precision. Every plank measured and cataloged. Every joint examined. Every angle calculated. And now they're building copies. Dozens of copies. You walk among the skeleton frames of ships under construction. The air is thick with pine smell and boiling tar. Sawdust coats everything. And everywhere, Romans are working with that characteristic intensity. The same focus they bring to building a fort or digging a siege line. But these aren't professional shipbuilders. Most are carpenters who've built houses, furniture, carts, not warships. They're learning as they go, referencing the disassembled Carthaginian vessel constantly, solving problems through trial and error. A master carpenter stares at a particular joint in the design. It's brilliant, he murmurs, the way they've interlocked these planks. The flexibility it allows while maintaining strength. Can we replicate it? His assistant asks. We're Romans, the master says. We can replicate anything if we're stubborn enough. Gaius Duilius oversees it all. He's been appointed to solve an impossible problem, create a navy from nothing. He's maybe 35, distinguished in land battles, but this is completely different. You approach him one evening as he studies drawings, comparing them to the vessels under construction. His tunic is stained with tar and sawdust. Dark circles under his eyes suggest he's barely sleeping. Can it be done, sir? You ask. He doesn't look up immediately. When he does, his eyes are tired but carry that unmistakable Roman determination. It has to be. The Senate has committed us. Carthage won't negotiate. Why should they? They hold all the advantages. Our only path forward is through impossible things. So we'll do impossible things. It's what we've always done. But we don't know how to sail, you say. Now he smiles grimly. No, we don't. But we'll learn that too. One impossible thing at a time. Within 60 days, Rome launches 120 warships. They're not beautiful like Carthaginian ships. They're not graceful. They're blocky, practical, clearly built by people learning on a job. But they float. They have rams. They're functional. There's just one enormous problem. Rome doesn't have sailors. What happens next is so pragmatically, absurdly Roman, it would be funny if the stakes weren't so high. While ships are being built, the Senate orders something unprecedented. Rowing benches are set up on the beach. Just the benches, arranged exactly as they would be in a ship. Wooden frames mark where the hull would be. And soldiers, land soldiers, men who've never seen the ocean until Sicily, sit on these benches and practice rowing. On dry land, on a beach, moving oars through air instead of water. You're one of them. You sit on a wooden bench in the sand, holding or that's not in water, and a Greek trainer walks up and down yelling cadence. Pull, pull, together. Feel the rhythm. You must move as one body. It's absurd. It's awkward. Your muscles burn from the unfamiliar motion. The grizzled veteran next to you keeps muttering, "This is insane. I'm a soldier. I kill people with a sword. I don't wave a stick in the air on a beach." But you do it. Day after day, as the sun beats down, practicing the motion, building muscle memory, learning to move in perfect synchronization with dozens of other men. Because that's what Romans do. They break impossible problems into manageable steps and work through them with relentless discipline. The blisters on your hands burst and reform as calluses. Your back develops muscles you didn't know existed. You dream about rowing. The rhythm becomes so ingrained you wake up moving your arms in your sleep. One evening, Gaius Duilius comes to watch the training. You're exhausted, arms burning, covered in sand and sweat. Some men have collapsed from heat. Others push through with pure stubbornness. He walks among the benches, occasionally correcting form, offering water from his own canteen. "I know this seems ridiculous," he says, loud enough for everyone to hear. You stop rowing and look up, grateful for the break. "I know you're soldiers, not sailors. I know every one of you would rather face an enemy with solid ground beneath your feet. Believe me, I feel exactly the same." He pauses, looking out at the real sea, where the real ships are anchored, waiting. But here's what Carthage doesn't understand about us. They think because we've never done something, we can't do it. They think the sea belongs to them because it's always belonged to them. 300 years they've ruled these waters. He turns back to face you all. But we're Romans. We don't accept limits. We don't quit because something's hard or because we don't have centuries of tradition. We face what's in front of us and we find a way through it. Not around it, not by avoiding it. Through it. He looks out at the sea again. In a few weeks, we sail against the finest navy in the world. And we're going to win. Not because we're better sailors. We're not. Not because our ships are faster. They're not. We're going to win because when a Roman commits to something, the universe bends or we break it trying. The men cheer, and despite the absurdity, training to row on sand, preparing to fight on water you've barely experienced, facing an enemy with 3 centuries of advantage, you believe him. You believe because that's Rome's greatest weapon, not the legion, not the gladius, the absolute, unshakable conviction that Rome will find a way. The ships are ready. The men are as ready as they'll ever be. And you're about to face the moment of truth. It's 260 BCE, late summer, and you're standing on the deck of a Roman warship off the coast of Mylae, Sicily. The ship rocks beneath your feet and your stomach churns, partly nerves, partly the unfamiliar motion. This is your first time on open water as part of a fleet, feeling the vastness beneath you. Around you, other soldiers try to look brave. Some are pale, gripping the rails with white knuckles. One is actively vomiting over the side, and nobody mocks him because half the men are fighting the same urge. The morning is beautiful, clear skies, gentle swells. But you know what's coming, and then you see them. Carthaginian ships, 50 of them, appearing over the horizon in perfect formation. They move with such grace, such confidence, cutting through waves like knives through silk. Your heart pounds so hard you can hear it in your ears. Your mouth is dry despite the spray of seawater. Your hand rests on your gladius. The familiar weight is the only comfort you have. The Carthaginian commander watches the Roman fleet with something like amusement. You can almost read his thoughts. These farmers think they can challenge us? This will be quick. The fleet's close. Closer. You can see individual sailors on the enemy ships now. Their confident postures, their easy movements on the rolling decks. They're preparing to ram, to execute complicated maneuvers with names you don't know, naval tactics refined over centuries. Your centurion walks among you, speaking calmly. Remember your training. Remember who you are. When that bridge drops, you know what to do. This is just another battlefield. The only difference is it floats. But then something happens that the Carthaginians don't expect. From above you, there's a grinding, mechanical sound. You look up and watch as a massive wooden structure, 36 feet long, mounted on the mast, begins to pivot. It's the Corvus, the Raven, a Roman innovation. A boarding bridge with a spike on the end. The Carthaginians are still closing, confident, preparing their approach. And then, crash. The Corvus drops from your ship onto the deck of the nearest Carthaginian vessel. The impact is tremendous. The spike punches through their deck planking. The whole ship shudders. The two vessels are suddenly locked together, and for just a heartbeat, there's stunned silence on the enemy ship. You see their faces, confusion shifting to alarm as they realize what's happening. This isn't how naval warfare works. And then your centurion roars. Board them. For Rome, you're moving before you think. Your training takes over. Across that narrow boarding bridge, only 4 feet wide, swaying with the motion of both ships. Shield up, protecting your left side. Gladius ready in your right hand. You're part of a wave, a locked formation even on this impossible bridge. The Carthaginian Marines are scrambling, trying to form up, but there's no time and no space. They're skilled fighters. Many are Greek or Iberian mercenaries, but they're not expecting this, not trained for boarding defense against Roman tactics. You hit them like a wave breaking on rocks. This is what you know. This is what you've trained for since you were 17. Not sailing, not naval tactics, but close quarters combat. The press of shields. The short, brutal thrust of a gladius beneath the ribs. The rhythm of Roman warfare. Thrust, step, thrust, step. The fighting is close, chaotic, terrifying. You're on a moving platform, the deck rolling beneath your feet. Men slip and fall, but this is Roman infantry combat, and you're trained for this, even if the Carthaginians aren't. Within minutes, it feels like hours, but it's only minutes. The ship is yours. Enemy Marines dead or surrendering. The captain stares in absolute disbelief at what just happened. You're breathing hard, blood pounding in your ears. But you're alive. You're standing on a captured Carthaginian warship, and the impossibility of it makes you want to laugh or cry or both. You look out across the water, and it's happening everywhere. Corvus drops. Homopolakos. Ships taken. The sound of fighting echoes across the water. The Carthaginian fleet, so confident at dawn, is being systematically destroyed. They try to adapt, try to approach from angles where the Corvus can't reach them. But Roman ships maneuver to meet them. Some Carthaginian vessels manage to ram Roman ships. There are losses, but more often, the Corvus drops and the inevitable boarding follows. By noon, it's over. 31 Carthaginian ships captured or sunk. Hannibal's flagship barely escapes, limping away. The rest scatter, rowing frantically for port, their invincibility shattered. Rome has won its first naval battle. Rome, which didn't have a navy a year ago. Rome, which trained on beaches in the sand. Rome, which turned sea battles into land battles. Impossible, but done. Let years flow now like water. I'll take you through them, touching the moments that matter. You fight in more naval battles. At Sulci, at Tyndaris. Each one follows a similar pattern. Carthaginian confidence meeting Roman innovation. The Corvus doesn't always work. Sometimes ships sink before you can board. But more often than not, it does its job. It's 256 BCE, and you're standing on a beach in North Africa. Yes, Africa, Carthage's homeland. Rome, emboldened by victories, has decided to end this war quickly by striking at Carthage directly. You landed with 15,000 men under Consul Regulus, and the initial campaign went well. For a few glorious weeks, it looked like Rome might pull off the impossible. Invade Africa, force surrender, end this war in a single bold stroke. But then winter came, and with it, something unexpected. The Carthaginians hire a Spartan mercenary general named Xanthippus. He sees immediately what Carthage needs to do. He reorganizes their forces. And most importantly, he recognizes Rome's weakness: cavalry and elephants. The Battle of Tunis happens on a dusty plain. You're in the Roman line when you first see what's coming. The ground trembles before you understand why. A low rumbling you feel in your bones. And then they emerge through the dust. Carthaginian war elephants. Dozens of them. Massive African forest elephants with towers strapped to their backs. Soldiers raining javelins down. The beasts are trained for war, their tusks capped with bronze, their sheer size devastating. You've heard about elephants, but seeing them in battle is something else. They're like moving fortresses, unstoppable, terrifying. The noise they make, those trumpeting calls, is designed to instill fear, and it works. Behind the elephants, Numidian cavalry wheel and circle. The finest horsemen in the world, born in the saddle, throwing javelins at full gallop, finding every weakness in your formation. Your shield wall, so effective against infantry, means nothing here. The elephants crash through your formation like paper. Men scream. Some break and run. You can't blame them. Others stand and die, trampled beneath feet the size of shields. The cavalry wheels around your flanks, cutting off retreat. Your formation, that perfect Roman discipline, collapses into chaos. You survive somehow. Maybe luck, maybe the gods. But when the sun sets on that nightmare field, only 2,000 Romans from 15,000 survive. The rest are dead on foreign soil or captured. Regulus himself is taken prisoner. The evacuation happens in chaos. The Roman fleet arrives to extract survivors, and you stumble aboard, bleeding from wounds you barely remember receiving. The great invasion has failed, but the nightmare isn't over. On the voyage home, the Mediterranean reminds everyone that nature's power dwarfs human warfare. You're below deck when the storm hits and the world tilts violently. Water pours through gaps in the hull. Men in armor struggle to stay afloat. The ship pitches and rolls like a toy. You cling to a rope, to anything solid, praying to Neptune, to Jupiter, to any god who might listen. The darkness is complete. The sound overwhelming. Wind screaming, waves crashing, wood groaning, men crying out. When the storm finally passes, you're one of the lucky ones. Your ship survived. But when dawn comes and you count the fleet, 270 ships are gone. Over 100,000 Romans dead. Swallowed by the same, see Rome thought it had conquered. You wash ashore in Sicily, alive by pure chance. You lie on the sand, coughing up seawater, barely believing you survived. Men around you weep. Some laugh hysterically. Others just stare, broken. This is it, you think. This is where Rome finally accepts defeat. How could they not? The lost invasion, the destroyed fleet, the staggering casualties. Surely even Rome has limits. But you don't know Rome yet. Not really. Within a year, 1 year, Rome replaces its entire lost fleet. Every ship, every oar, every sail. It seems impossible, but you watch it happen. The Senate empties the treasury. Citizens contribute what they can. Shipyards work day and night. The sound of hammers never stops. Forests are cleared. Forges work overtime. The entire republic mobilizes. You're assigned to one of the new ships, and you can't quite believe it. You survived, elephants survived the storm, and now you're being sent back out on the water. Part of you wants to refuse to run, but you don't. Nobody does, because you're Roman, and Romans endure. When news of Rome's replacement fleet reaches Carthage, something changes. Hanno the merchant, now old, receives the report. 220 new Roman ships, built in a year. He sits down heavily. How do you fight this? He whispers. How do you defeat people who treat catastrophe as temporary inconvenience? The war grinds on. 5 years. 10 years, 15 years. You're middle-aged now, if you've survived this long. The young man who trained on rowing benches has gray in his hair. Your body carries scars from a dozen battles. Your hands shake, sometimes from old wounds. Sicily is a wasteland. Fields that once fed the Mediterranean lie burned and salted. Cities change hands so many times nobody remembers who holds them legitimately. Carthaginian strongholds hold out for years, supplied by sea. Rome keeps fighting, keeps losing fleets to storms. Another 100 ships in 255 BCE, more in 253. Keeps rebuilding. Keeps enduring. You fight in the disaster at Drepana in 249 BCE, where the Roman consul Publius Claudius Pulcher ignores sacred omens. Before battle, priests release sacred chickens for augury. If they eat, the gods approve. If not, postpone the battle. The chickens refuse to eat. Claudius allegedly grabs them and throws them overboard. If they won't eat, let them drink, he snarls. The battle is a disaster. 93 Roman ships lost. You survive. Somehow you always survive, but you watch good ships, good men, die because a consul thought himself above the gods. Rome recalls him, puts him on trial. The gods are not mocked. Claudius is convicted, fined, humiliated. It doesn't bring back the dead, but it reinforces something important. Rome values piety, tradition, humility before the divine. By 241 BCE, Rome's treasury is exhausted, completely empty. 23 years of warfare has drained everything. The Senate can't afford to build another fleet, and everyone knows one more fleet is exactly what's needed. But then something remarkable happens. Roman citizens fund it themselves. Wealthy Romans, men who've lost sons, buried brothers, watched their country bleed for 23 years, pool their private wealth. They commission ships, not from the state, but from their own pockets. 200 vessels, built with private gold because the public treasury is empty. You're standing on the dock when this citizen-funded fleet launches. You're older, scarred, tired beyond words. But you watch these ships, each one representing someone's grief transformed into determination, and you feel something stir in your chest. Why? A younger soldier asks. He's new, doesn't remember the early years. Why do they keep paying? Keep fighting? Wouldn't peace be easier? You look at this kid who doesn't understand yet what it means to be Roman. Because we're not just fighting for Sicily, you say slowly. We're fighting to prove that Rome doesn't break, that we don't quit, that when we commit to something, even something impossible, we see it through. It's not rational. It's not even strategic at this point. It's just who we are. The final battle comes in 241 BCE off the Aegates Islands. You're part of the crew, old now, but you volunteered anyway because this is your war, has been your entire adult life. The Roman fleet, finally commanded by sailors who actually know what they're doing after 23 years of brutal education, intercepts a Carthaginian supply convoy heading to Sicily. The enemy ships are heavy with supplies, riding low in the water, not expecting combat. It's not even close. The Romans attack with confidence born from decades of experience. You've learned. You've adapted. You're not better sailors than Carthaginians. Probably never will be, but you're good enough. And good enough, combined with Roman determination, is more than sufficient. The Corvus drops. One last time, you charge across a boarding bridge, gladius in hand. One last time, you turn a sea battle into a land battle. One last time, Roman infantry superiority decides the outcome. 50 Carthaginian ships sunk, 70 captured. The Mediterranean runs red one final time, and then silence. Carthage sues for peace. They abandon Sicily, agree to pay massive indemnities, accept terms that sting. Not because they're militarily defeated. Their forces in Sicily are still strong, but because they're done, exhausted, bankrupt, finished. The people, the merchants, the ruling council, everyone is tired. 23 years, an entire generation. Enough. You're back in Rome now, several years after the war ends. You're old, not ancient, but old for a veteran. Your hair is gray. Your body carries too many scars to count. You walk with a slight limp from that wound in Africa that never quite healed right. But you're alive. Against all odds, you're alive. You're walking through the Forum, and it's so much grander than when you left. Enriched by Sicilian grain, by victory, by the pride of a republic that did the impossible. New buildings, new statues, new monuments to Roman glory. There's one monument you visit every time you're here. The Columna Rostrata, erected to honor Gaius Duilius and Rome's first naval victories. It's a column decorated with bronze rams taken from captured Carthaginian ships. You reach out, touch one of those bronze beaks. It's cold beneath your fingers, worn smooth by countless other veterans doing the same. And you remember that first battle off Mylae. Remember being terrified on that deck. Remember the Corvus dropping and changing everything. We did it. You whisper. We actually did it. A young man, maybe 20, too young to remember the war, passes by and sees you touching the monument. Were you there? He asks. In the war. You nod slowly. Was it glorious? You think about that. About storms swallowing fleets. About elephants trampling through formations. About friends who drowned in armor. About 23 years of blood and determination and suffering. It was necessary, you finally say. We did what needed doing, and we endured. That's the important part. Not the glory, the endurance. The young man looks confused. He doesn't understand, and part of you hopes he never has to. He walks away, and you stand there a while longer, touching that cold bronze, remembering the warmth of men who didn't make a home. Marcus, who you trained with on the beach. The centurion who led your first boarding action. Gaius Duilius himself, dead 3 years now, mourned by a grateful republic. Finally, you turn to head home. You were rewarded with land after the war, like all veterans who survived. A small farm outside Rome, a modest house, a wife you married late, no children. You were at war during the years most men start families. But you're alive, and Rome is alive, and Sicily is Roman, and the Mediterranean is shared now, not owned by anyone. All because your republic refused to accept that some things were impossible. But here's the thing that troubles your dreams. What did it accomplish, really? Sicily is Roman now. That's concrete. The Republic is richer from Sicilian grain. Rome learned to fight on water, became a Mediterranean power. Those are real achievements. But Carthage still exists across that sea, wounded and resentful. And you've heard rumors about a Carthaginian general named Hamilcar Barca who never accepted the peace, who's building power in Spain, who's teaching his sons to hate Rome with the kind of intensity that starts new wars. One son in particular, Hannibal they call him, just a boy now, but already being groomed for revenge. The First Punic War didn't resolve anything. Did it? It just set up the next one. Hannibal will come. Everyone with any sense knows it. He'll cross the Alps. He'll bring war to Italy. He'll make Rome bleed in ways you can't imagine yet. All of that is coming. Born from this war, from his first collision, from 23 years of bloodshed that created more problems than it solved. But that's tomorrow's nightmare. Tomorrow's war for tomorrow's soldiers to fight. Tonight, you're just an old veteran walking home. The sun is setting over the 7 hills. The air smells of cooking fires and evening. Children play in the streets, knowing nothing of elephants or storms or bronze rams punching through hulls. You reach your modest home. Your wife has dinner waiting, simple food but plenty of it. You sit down, eat, look around at this life you fought 23 years to preserve. Was it worth it? You don't know. The gods might know. History might judge. But you're just a man who did what Rome asked, who survived when so many didn't, who's trying to figure out how to live in peace after a lifetime of war. What you do know is this: Rome doesn't quit. That's not always a virtue. Sometimes knowing when to stop is wisdom. But it's who you are, who Rome is. And tomorrow, when the sun rises, Rome will still be here, still growing, still building, still refusing to accept limits. For better or worse, you were part of that. You helped teach Rome to sail, helped Rome believe it could do impossible things. And now you're just tired and alive and grateful for both. Close your eyes now. Let this story settle into you like silt drifting to the ocean floor. You've walked with Rome from those first hesitant steps onto the water to final victory. You've felt the fear and the determination. You've rowed on beaches and fought on decks. You've survived storms and elephants and 23 years of grinding warfare. And now you can rest. The First Punic War is over. The Mediterranean is quiet tonight. Ships sail peacefully under stars that have witnessed so much violence. The waves lap gently against shores in Sicily, in Africa, in Italy. Men who were enemies sleep in their own beds, grateful to be alive. You're safe here. The war is done. Just breathe and rest. Just let yourself drift on gentle waves into dreams. The battles are over. The storms have passed. The Corvus has dropped for the last time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me share this piece of history with you. For walking with these ancient souls through their impossible struggles. Rest well. Sweet dreams. Good night, my friends. May your sleep be peaceful, restorative, and filled with calm reflection.